And with this, the stage is yours, Karsten.
All right. Thank you, Larissa. So hello, everybody. Thank you for taking your time in your busy days and joining us for this session here. As Larissa said, my name is Karsten. I'm part of product marketing for data analytics with a special focus of BW modernization and had that role for the last few years. Now, I just want to start this session and give you just a brief overview, sort of like setting the stage a little bit, sort of, sharing why we're doing the releases and the overall bigger story. And then I'm going to hand over to Dominik, who is going to dive more deeply into how we actually can step forward here and modernize BW and BW NetWeaver in most parts. Okay, so you've probably seen this. On February 13th, we released Business Data Cloud. In one sentence, it's a SaaS, software as a service solution that unifies all SAP and third-party data throughout an organization. That's an evolution of what we've done before, an evolution of our data and planning and analytics solutions. And it brings together DataSphere, Analytics Cloud, Business Warehouse, with a unified experience that delivers transformational insights really across all lines of business. And I said Business Warehouse, we also have it as a title of the session on purpose, because when we talked about innovation and moving forward, in the past, we've always talked about BW for HANA. So in this case, when we say Business Warehouse, we talk about both versions, the BW NetWeaver version and BW4. And that's, I think, where it's becoming interesting for you as ERP customers, because the vast majority of ERP customers still has the BW NetWeaver version as part of the ERP system. And most of you are wondering, how can I move forward with that one? Now, on part of the big announcement we had, and by the way, you see it on the slide, I put a little link, a little button on the lower left, the link to the replay. So if you've missed the announcement, that link directly gets you to the replay session. And usually it's the first question we get. Yes, you will get the slides. We will share them afterwards as PDFs. Now, in addition to the announcement of Business Data Cloud was an announcement of Databricks, right? So Databricks landmark partnership announcements, bringing the power of Databricks directly into Business Data Cloud. And this marks something totally new, a bit of a departure, right? So it's a new era of enterprise data management with two leaders, SAP and Databricks, in their domains coming together to redefine how these applications and data platforms work together. And with that, it's providing a trusted foundation, a data foundation, really, that our customers need to make more impactful decisions and foster reliable AI. And the last part is really important because it drives a lot of investment these days. And you can really have only good AI with good data and metadata, and we can have both. Right. So customers are doing stuff like this already. They're spending lots of time and effort to export data out of their various applications, bringing them together in a data lake or maybe several of them. And they spend even more time and more effort to reverse engineer all that logic and make sense of it. Now, the idea of the business suite with Business Data Cloud is making sense of all your data much more easier for the customer, right? So the LOB delivers data products. Dominik will talk about this a little bit later on in the context of BW. And that data product holds the business context and semantics and providing immediate access to the high quality data without necessary costly extraction. Now, today's businesses, and that has been true for many years now, have a critical challenge. That's the data divide. You know, the split between IT and lines of business. Technology experts on one hand, decision makers on the other side, both rely on data daily, but there's disconnect, right? Disconnects delay how the signals are being carried forward in an organization, how you can steer an organization or parts of an organization even. And that stops companies from being truly data-driven. Although we know that with an integrated approach, we know that data-driven companies are more than 4 times more likely to succeed compared to those that are, not quite data-driven yet. So business users need data for all the analytics and planning needs, of course, in real time. That's a standard by now, with full business context. And at SAP, we believe that this requires an integration between all the different data platforms and business applications with data products based on one domain data model for consistency. And again, connecting all these insights and business decisions is critical in the age of AI. Can you go one further, Dominik, please? That's one. There you go. Excellent. So we have always delivered the most mission-critical applications, yet our customers continue to struggle with these siloed data and siloed restrictions, really. And however, they must spend time to recreate all the context again. As I just mentioned, when you export something out of a silo, bringing things together, the context is often lost. So there's a hidden text to these data extracts. Customers must spend time and rebuild everything. But even if they do that, so that's the technical part really behind it. But even if they do that, on the user side, those siloed extracts and then rebuild logic on top of that creates a certain sense of distrust in that business data, even though it might, in the end, with a lot of luck and talent, represent the similar sort of sense. The business users mistrust the end result here. And the knowledge and business semantics of the data is very, very difficult to recreate. So Business Data Cloud is intended to work with the customer's existing data and accelerate time to value. This is most certainly a way forward, including those with the business warehouse context. One further, please. So I put this slide in here, and these slides are extracts out of our basic positioning decks, the A0 decks that you can also find as part of these presentations. The Business Data Fabric is something we talked a lot about when we launched DataSphere a couple of years ago. And so what I wanted to say is that the Business Data Fabric is still very much part of Business Data Cloud, right? It's not a departure from that. We're not doing something totally different. We're extending it. It's an evolution of that. It's an architectural approach that fulfills the fundamental needs for IT on one side and data consumers on the other side to get the insights from the business data. So simplifies things. But when you listen to us presenting this the DataSphere story over the last few years, you've heard all about the Business Data Fabric. I just want to make sure here that you understand that we are expanding on that. This is not by no means something we've done in the past. This is no longer valid, right? It's still very much valid, and we're expanding on that and extending it to a lot of the open partner ecosystems as well. So the next one, please, Dominik. So there are challenges, right? Why have customers not moved onwards from their BW installations? And what's stopping, what's holding them back? And Dominik will get into a lot more detail on the steps that really are responses to these challenges. So I don't want to get into every single bullet here, but we know that these challenges exist, and especially our existing BW customers have these challenges in front of them, and that stops them from moving forward. So maybe in a nutshell, the first box that talks about a fragmented landscape, a high maintenance landscape as well, historically grown for a lot of customers, right? But also a lot of investment is being made in that, and customers would like to leverage some of the investment. Not all of it is still valid. Some of it, is there for historical reasons and could be archived potentially, but another step behind it. But they would most certainly like to leverage some of the investments they've made over the years. The data divide I talked about earlier is not really closing when these old concepts of data warehousing or centralized data management are not challenged, right? The central data warehousing is something we had with BW. We definitely promoted that in the very beginning, but that's already at 25 years old, right? So we need to challenge these old paradigms, and we need to shift to something totally new. And Dominik will talk about the shift part in that, and how this also then in the end supports the needs of AI. Now, the third part is about integration. It's not only required, but it's also very challenging with a rapidly growing range of point solutions, right? So everybody becomes more specialized. There's more specialized partners also out there. And integrating with point solutions like that has always been challenging, but it becomes more and more necessary because there are just really clever solutions out there that we have to, or an organization wants to integrate with. So the integration part, the lack of openness in the existing landscapes can be a real blocker for that. Now, Dominik, if you could get to the next one. This is my last one on this one. Thank you. You probably heard a lot of these things before, right? So we talked about the gap before. We talked about moving on from the BW part. I understand, but you were probably asking yourself, so what's different with BW in Business Data Cloud or in BDC? Why should I consider a move now? So Dominik will talk about the lift and the shift and the innovate part. And what's really different now is that BW NetWeaver customers now have the same innovation path as BW4 customers. Once they lift their existing BW NetWeaver system into the private cloud, they can expose the BW data as data products. And again, Dominik will talk about this in more detail than I do here. Just wanted to highlight the difference between these different approaches in the past we had. Innovation always happened in BW4. BW NetWeaver was always required an extra step. That is no longer the case. Customers can stay on BW NetWeaver, where, of course, the door is still open to convert to BW4. If the runway to 2030, end of 2030 is the end of maintenance for anything NetWeaver related in the private cloud. If the runway from now to the end of 2030 is not enough to do all these transition workflows, there is still an opportunity to do a conversion to BW4, and then BW4 is aligned with S4 in terms of maintenance, at least to 2040, to continue to extend the runway. But that is an option, a secondary option. It is not a mandatory step in order to have the benefit of all the innovations behind. The second part is that the business warehouse services in Business Data Cloud fall under the same cloud contract as BDC, not under the RISE contract, right? So that simplifies the commercial transition to the public cloud services quite a bit. Since it's all in capacity units, those of you who have looked into DataSphere in the past or HANA Cloud, you're familiar with the capacity unit concept, like a fungible token, if you want to call it that, interchangeable units between capacity service. So since it's all in capacity units, customers will be able to downsize their BW deployment without a change in contract. They can do this on an annual basis. There's some details around that, of course, but they can reallocate those freed up capacity units to other BDC capacity services in a self-service mode. And maybe to the previous point, if a BW4 conversion is desired, customers don't have to restructure their contracts anymore with this one. They simply add a change request, and the backend teams, the SAP services or SAP partner, can help with doing the transition to the newer version. Now, on the final point, for early mover customers, we are offering a reduced capacity unit rate on some of the BW capacity services for contracts signed in the first 2 years, this year, 2025, and in 2026. Right? So there are massive advantages here, and we're doing things very differently than we've done in the past. And with that, I think, Dominik, I'm handing it over to you.
All right, short note to Karsten. There are a couple of questions in Q&A tool. Maybe you can look at them.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. So then let's move on further, and many thanks for the great introduction, Karsten. Let's jump a bit more into the detail, right? So Karsten mentioned already, let's say, this overall picture around Business Data Cloud, but let me maybe quickly repeat the different kind of components, especially what you see here on the left-hand side, right? So especially with Business Data Cloud, we deliver one major component, which is delivered to every BDC customer automatically, which is the BDC cockpit. Then beside of that, we have different kind of services and integrated solutions like SAP DataSphere, SAP Databricks, and also on top of that, Analytics Cloud with Inside Apps. And on top, you can find also for sure our regular LOB sources like S4HANA, ISBN, CX, and so on, right? And on top of that, we have our object store level based on so-called foundation services, which is at the end of the day, the object store for SAP managed data products. And beside of that, we also have a, let's say, object store underneath of SAP DataSphere, which is more or less for custom data products and really a customer managed object store, where then also this whole BW or business warehouse piece fits into, right? So we really offer there a nice integration option. I will share later on a bit more on that, especially there we are talking then about customer managed data products from SAP BW, where every existing customer can easily reuse the existing stuff what they have built there, easily shift it up towards this cloud private edition piece, and then gradually benefit directly from BW use cases on this proven BW data. But what are now, let's say, the benefits of having, for example, this business warehouse or BW Cloud Private Edition as part of Business Data Cloud? And as Karsten already said, right, so it's quite important for our BW install base to have an easy innovation path, right? And especially with Business Data Cloud, we now offer, let's say, the most simplest modernization way from my perspective, right? So in the past, we've always talked about a migration project. That means moving away, for example, from BW 750 towards DataSphere or towards BW Bridge, rebuild all the things manually, or moving, for example, from 750 towards BW 400 to make data more easier accessible, for example, also for third-party tools. And exactly this piece we are now solving for you as a customer. But what are now the benefits? So we always cluster it between strategic benefits, technical benefits, and operational benefits. And of course, one of the biggest strategic benefits is definitely that, of course, it is fully aligned with SAP Business Data Cloud. So with our whole, let's say, new journey around DataSphere, SAC, data products, inside apps, and so on. And of course, we are also following the clean core principle. So reduce custom extension management costs. So that means at the end of the day, our most customers, to be honest, are currently on a RISE journey. So that means moving away from ECC towards S4HANA. And with that, also moving into a clean core, right? And especially this clean core enables you as a customer to benefit from all this kind of offerings which we have now inside of Business Data Cloud, which is at the end SAP managed data products which are coming out of the box, and SAP managed inside apps which are also coming out of the box, right? So there is no need to adjust something. You will get all the things automatically provided from our side in foundation services, so inside of the object store itself. And then we make all the things and all the semantics available automatically via the inside app, and especially via the inside app, you will also get an analytic model inside of DataSphere where all your semantics is at the end of the day in. Then, especially for this BW piece, we also offer a simplified system conversion and brownfield migrations into the cloud. So that means there is really the option easily to uplift your existing BW into Cloud Private Edition. And this is completely being done from us as SAP, together with you as a customer, and also together maybe with a partner, right? So we as SAP, we provide you at the end this Cloud Private Edition piece in Business Data Cloud. We set up all the different kind of connections which are necessary. And then you can individually choose which kind of, let's say, provider you would like to use for getting a backup of your existing BW system, which is then being included in this BW Cloud Private Edition piece, and then you can get rid of your on-premise instance. Then, of course, applications and all the technical operations are completely being offered from our side, right? So it's fully SAP managed. And one really big advantage compared to the on-premise world is also that especially in Cloud Private Edition, we offer mainstream maintenance until 2030, right? So if you compare it in the on-premise world, so BW 750 is supported until 2027, and then we have an extended maintenance phase of 3 years, so 2027 towards 2030, and especially in this BW Cloud Private Edition, you will get that for free. Then, of course, for sure, BW 4HANA is still supported until 2040. And Karsten already mentioned the other great advantage of Business Data Cloud compared to other solutions, right? So there's really a simple commercial transition with common capacity units possible. So you can individually decide on what kind of tooling. So is it BW, is it DataSphere, SAP Databricks, Analytics Cloud, Inside App, Data Products, where you would like to spend your capacity units. What kind of technical benefits do we have? Of course, code enhancements and code modifications are completely allowed. So in the past, to be honest, it was really challenging sometimes because, for example, add-ons were not supported in BW Bridge and so on, right? And BW Cloud Private Edition is nearly a full-blown BW, which you know from the on-premise world. And for example, also this whole discussion around add-ons and hybrid modeling. So this is all supported inside of BW Cloud Private Edition. It's a completely scalable platform. Karsten also mentioned upscaling and downscaling is completely possible. So you can start, for example, with, I don't know, a 4 terabyte instance and gradually move over time the different kind of use cases towards Business Data Cloud, to SAP Managed Data Products and Inside Apps, and then gradually phase out this BW piece and then also scale it down over the time. We have an end-to-end integration of SAP with data products. So this is called customer data product, and therefore we deliver a tooling, so-called data product generator for BW. We will also jump into the detail in a few seconds. But another really technical benefit from my perspective is also a catalog integration. So many of you already know our catalog, especially from DataSphere, right? And there we are now also including this whole BW piece. So you will see in the catalog functionality all the different kind of BW artifacts, like classical info providers, like a composite provider. You see all the advanced data store objects with all the different kind of fields. You will see also the context behind, right? So is the right optimized advanced data store object and so on. You also see the transformations. You see the process chains, info packages, and also beside of that, the DTPs for sure. So really, we offer a metadata harvesting option to all regular BW artifacts, which many of you already know. Beside of that, we also have some operational benefits for sure. So first one, resilience and TCO of hyperscaler infrastructure. Then, of course, all the technical operations are completely being done by us as SAP. So it's SAP managed and really simple. If you would like to run, for example, an upgrade, you can easily raise this via customer request. And if we are now jumping a bit further, let me quickly explain you, let's say, our concrete innovation path, right? So especially with Business Data Cloud, you can now easily lift your existing BW system to the private cloud and secure your BW investments while exposing classical SAP data as a data product for direct consumption, right? So create directly new use cases in DataSphere or also Databricks, and for sure in future also on any other approved or third-party certified third-party application in future, right? So at the end, we offer a 3-step approach. So it's lift, shift, innovate. So in the past, we've called it land, expand, adopt. So we are still figuring out what is better, right? So today we brought lift, shift, innovate with us. So at the end, together with us as SAP, you completely lift your existing on-premise instance into Cloud Private Edition, right? So we do this together with you directly, together with a partner, or also together with services, which is available at the end from our side. And beside of that, for sure, you can also take advantage of an SAP managed environment, right? Removing hardware maintenance and lowering also TCO. And beside of this lift, you can also then leverage BW as customer managed data product from BW via this BW Cloud Private Edition piece in Business Data Cloud. The second step is so-called shift. So that means at the end, we enable you as a customer directly to benefit from your existing, let's say, modeling capabilities or modeling functions you had on the BW side. So that means you can directly start building up new use cases instead of investing into an expensive and time-consuming migration, right? So we offer this completely integrated in Business Data Cloud, and there you get a tooling to push at the end data products from BW towards the object store under DataSphere, and then having all the semantics available and start directly creating, for example, machine learning AI use cases inside of Databricks instead of shifting also the data around, right? So the complete data set is stored in the object store under DataSphere and is then being available via data share capabilities for Databricks and can directly be consumed there. The last step is so-called innovate. So there, of course, you can then benefit from standardized public cloud releases, enabling an SAP ERP clean core strategy. I think I've already explained this, right? So especially this clean core enables you as a customer then completely to benefit really from this SAP managed product offering, from SAP managed data products and inside apps. And then you can replace gradually in your own pace those heavily customized SAP BW workflows with SAP managed data products and inside apps, and then adopting also for sure a Lakehouse architecture underneath. And of course, beside of that, also benefit from the open partner ecosystem for future innovations. If we are jumping one step deeper into the lifting phase, I think I've explained it already, so you can easily do this uplift together with us as SAP. You can also do this on top, right? So getting the image of the existing on-premise system together with services or partners and bring this at the end into this private cloud offering from SAP. And one prerequisite, for example, is that your existing BW 750 environment is already running on HANA, right? So that's a prerequisite that we say, hey, yeah, we can manage the system for you in Cloud Private Edition. And for sure, many customers will still ask, is it then already beneficial or also beneficial, for example, to move away from 750 and run a migration towards BW for HANA? And for sure, you can do this, but we are definitely not forcing customers, right? So you are getting exactly the same feature and functionalities that we also ship for BW 750. But especially if you would like to have more time until 2040 and really, let's say, model also in future in this whole BW stack, you can then for sure also run still a BW for HANA conversion. Exactly. And with that, let us jump deeper into the shifting phase. And I've explained already a bit this kind of customer managed data products, right? And what is our vision around data products or customer managed data products? And clearly the intention behind is giving existing customers the option directly to benefit from this BW data. And especially there, we deliver now a tooling so-called data product generator. And via this data product generator, you can easily push existing info provider. So for example, composite provider, advanced data store objects, info objects, DSOs towards the customer managed object store. So the object store under DataSphere, and then making the data product available for direct consumption, for example, inside of Databricks. You can make it available for special use cases inside of DataSphere, so enhancement use cases, for example, or you can also say, hey, I would like to have a data product and consume it directly inside of an inside app or inside of a customer managed dashboard out of SAC. And what is going to be delivered out of the box is at the end a base data product. So that means you can choose between a base data product, a refined data product, and a derived data product. And for example, a base data product contains more or less the complete info provider data, which is completely flattened, right? So all the different kind of fields, info object is completely being flattened inside of a table. And beside of that, you're also getting, for example, all the attributes which are behind of an info object, and all the things are completely, let's say, flattened inside of one table. And especially this table can then be consumed easily as data share in Databricks, and you can start directly building your ML AI use cases there and bring it easily then afterwards, for sure, also back into DataSphere again, right? So especially this data product is going to be delivered out of the box. Beside of that, we are also offering a so-called refined data product, and the refined data product is at the end the whole star schema around the classical info provider. So that means the transactional data and also the master data. And this one includes also the whole associations around the transactional data, which can then be for sure also consumed inside of DataSphere and also shared, for example, with other DataSphere tenants. On top of that, we also offer now a derived data product. And a derived data product, that's really quite important to understand, right? So in the past, we had, for example, two different kind of, let's say, semantic onboarding options for BW. So one for BW for HANA, one for BW Bridge, where you had the option to reuse all the semantics, which was inside of a regular BW query, make it available inside of DataSphere. And especially with this derived data product, we also offering now for classic BW 750 customers the option benefit from this whole semantic onboarding piece. So that means we enable customers to take over the semantics which are inside of a query, like calculated key figures, restricted key figures, variables. Then we have in future structures, cell definitions, for example, non-cumulative key figures. So all the things which you had in your BW query is going to be available out of the box inside of SAP DataSphere, and also for sure inside of Business Data Cloud overall, and can be delivered as a customer managed data product, which is at the end this derived data product. Right. And with that, let's maybe jump one step further. And I thought maybe let's also explain you quickly how important this introduction of the object store was at the end, right? So especially with the introduction of the object store, so the customer managed object store, which was delivered in December last year for DataSpheres, you can now extend to a Lakehouse architecture and benefit really from decoupling of compute and storage of SAP HANA Cloud. You can consume SAP and customer managed data products with the option to leverage data share and also take advantage of the partnership with Databricks and implement directly new use cases there. So this object store, especially the intention is really to build customer managed data products with a modern UI inside of DataSphere and easily make it also available for sure inside of the analytical layer. So this analytical layer for sure will still exist, but they are completely independent from each other, right? And the whole semantics, like you know it from the analytic model, for example, in DataSphere, is completely being built inside of this analytical layer, and data products are built on the object store layer mainly. And with that, let's quickly also check once again maybe the different kind of use cases and benefits what you get and how the architecture look like. So here in the middle, you can see clearly our tooling around. So our solution Business Data Cloud with the different kind of components. On the left-hand side, we have our LOB data products, which is at the end S/4HANA. And beside of that, we have our BW Cloud Private Edition with this data product generator tooling. And what are now the benefits to have BW Private Cloud Edition inside of BDC overall? I think especially on the beginning, I've talked already a lot of that, right? So around the strategic benefits and so on, technical benefits. But it's definitely to have this immediate exposure of valuable BW data. And especially this whole provisioning piece is completely being done from our side, right? So there's no manual adjustment from your side needed. So those three data products are offered out of the box. You can easily go into this tooling, into this data product generator for Business Data Cloud, select an info provider. You then create at the end a subscriber, especially for this provider, and then you can individually say what kind of fields you would like to push to the object store, right? So it's not mandatory to push all the fields to the object store. You can individually decide what should be pushed. And another advantage and benefit is, of course, that especially this piece is fully supported from us as SAP. What kind of use cases do we see? So it's definitely the use case of combining BW data and DataSphere, and especially there, starting also then leverage data share capabilities to build directly machine learning AI use cases, right? So which offers at the end really a great value for you as an existing customer, where you can directly start instead of migrating to DataSphere and replace and rebuild all the things manually, right? And with that, for sure, also the question will come up, how can we then gradually, let's say, phase out BW in the next, I don't know, 7 to also 15 years, BW for HANA, right? So you as a customer will start working with BW data products based on info providers and create directly new use cases inside of Databricks and DataSphere. And then chosen BW use cases will be moved to DataSphere, so especially the heavily customized ones. So that means if you have any kind of third-party tools connected under your existing BW, right? So especially these use cases have then to be re-implemented towards DataSphere core. But especially these BW use cases, which are then built mainly on regular BI content, will then be replaced with SAP managed inside apps and data products. So that means at the end, in parallel, beside of that you've already started working with BW data products, you explore then over time this whole SAP managed data product thing and inside apps, and then replace your existing BW scenarios, especially with this SAP managed stuff. So that means SAP managed data products and inside apps allow you as a customer to consume and create directly analytic scenarios following a clean core principle. So that means what you also can see here on the slide, right? Your starting point is at the end this uplift towards Business Data Cloud and Cloud Private Edition of BW. Then move the use cases over and replace at the end of the day your BW footprint and your existing BW business content, your data models, especially with SAP managed data products and inside apps. And then you can phase out what you can see on the right-hand side, your BW piece, and getting completely rid of this, let's say, customer managed data warehousing solution and move completely into an SAP managed data warehousing solution, with the benefit that especially in this lifting and shifting phase, so using this data product, you're also shifting your data from BW to the object store underneath, right? So you are not dropping away this whole BW piece. So you are protecting also the investments, what you have done in BW, right? So especially there, we take over the semantics, what I have explained with this 3 different kind of data products, and make it available in the object store and DataSphere. And then you still can consume this old, let's say, BW legacy data models inside of a new modern architecture with Business Data Cloud. And I thought maybe let's explain also a bit the difference. So what is an SAP managed data product, a customer managed data product, and also an SAP managed inside app? And how I always explain it, at the end, we have 3 different kind of layers, right? So we have a bronze, silver, and a gold layer on top. And a bronze layer always go, let's say, to a table layer where you also see your raw data at the end. In the silver layer, we have a relational modeling layer. So that means having, for example, measures, attributes, hierarchies, business names available. And then on top of that, we also have this heavily semantical rich data layer which is the gold layer, where we have really all the things available, which we offer semantically, like restricted measures, variables, non-cumulative key figures, which I've shared already before with this derived data product, right? And we clearly can say that an SAP managed data product, for example, which is coming out of the LOB, goes until or to the silver layer, right? So relational modeling is at the end delivered in this SAP managed data product piece. And if we are looking onto the right-hand side, so SAP managed inside app, we also can clearly say that especially this inside app goes beyond the gold layer, right? So there, especially, we also offer really this SAP managed inside app, which is at the end inside of SAC. And if we compare those two ones now with a customer managed data product, which is coming from BW, especially this derived data product goes until the gold layer, where we then also, as I've explained, ship you completely the whole semantics, like non-cumulative key figure structures in future automatically and out of the box. And then for sure, many of our existing BW customers will also have the question, what happens with BW Bridge, and is BW Bridge still there? And we clearly can say BW Bridge is still there. So that means BW Bridge will stay at least until 2040, right? So there is still the need that many customers would like to use older ECC extractors and business content, right? And for sure, we also have a lot of customers who adopted BW Bridge. So existing customers for sure can also to continue to use BW Bridge and then move gradually over towards Business Data Cloud overall. But we also can clearly say that BW Bridge is not on an, let's say, innovation path with SAP Business Data Cloud, right? So with PCE and this Cloud Private Edition, we would make this customer journey even simpler than before. And with that, we are nearly done. We also brought some slides with us to learn a bit more. So there, for example, we have linked our new product page around Business Data Cloud overall. We also offer a complete learning journey, especially where also this BW piece is completely being reflected, right? So the different kind of steps. Lift, shift, innovate. You can go into the details there and check your individual learning journey. Then we also have a video series available. And especially in this video series, we're covering the whole best of BW features. So that means that you can find really a comparison. What kind of options do you had in the past in BW, for example, to create variables and stuff like that? What is possible inside of DataSphere? How does it work if you compare both ones with each other, which helps our customers really a lot. And with that, that's it from my side, and I will hand back to you, Larissa.
All right, thank you, Dominik. Thank you, Karsten, for these insights. We have tons of questions. Karsten was answering a lot of them already. And we need to clarify one important point before we move to Q&A part. I don't think that we can cover all the question live during the session. It's planned until 3 o'clock. If you, Dominik, and Karsten will be available maybe for a couple of more minutes for Q&A part, I would then make you host of this session so you can finish the session beyond 3 o'clock. If this is okay for you, then I will then, move to Q&A part.
Yeah, that should be okay from my side. Dominik?
Yeah, we will check.
All right.
To answer all the questions. So.
Okay, thank you very much, because I would need to leave at 3, but you will be a host of this session, and when you are finished, you just need to click end. So there. And with this, for this, Karsten will be was very conscious and very concentrated on answering the questions. So I will ask Karsten to take over from here because some of the
Sure.
questions you wanted to answer live.
Sure. So, Dominik, there's one question. The first question we got in was about the object types, but I think you explained this already. Composite providers, multi providers, and so on. Are there any object types that are excluded? Maybe it would be an easier way to say it that way around.
Yeah. So, for example, virtual providers are currently not being supported. So at the end, currently, the interface which is used is ODP, but in future, for example, we will extend this also that you can also for sure use, for example, regular calculation views from HANA, which you've done in your hybrid models. So more or less, all providers are supported, right? Exception is virtual provider. But another great message is also that query as an info provider, for example, is also supported, and the query itself, right?
Yeah, okay. There's one question about the connectivity type. So I'm going to read this out. How is the data moved from BW to DataSphere? Is it a live connection as it is for BW Bridge, or is it through something else?
It's an existing connection that we build up at the end, what customers already have established for BW, right? So it's not a live connection, but this is also not necessary, right? So there we work via triggers, but we are thinking also to add, for example, this kind of thing into this UCL integration piece where you manage all your different kind of cloud products in future, right?
Yeah, okay. Question about the queries. How are BW queries managed? Do I need to rewrite them in DataSphere, or are they moved as is and can be used without limitations?
Yeah.
That's an example here. The second part of that, an example, custom ABAP exit in prompts.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think I've already explained this kind of derived data product, right, and semantic onboarding options. And for sure, I think we have covered more or less 80% of this regular most wanted BW features like restricted measures, calculated measures, structures, cell definitions, and so on, right? But one important piece is definitely this variable stuff, right? So for sure, we can't rebuild, for example, an ABAP exit with an SQL exit. So there, for example, the exit is going to be deleted during this import, but our intention is clearly to cover at least, let's say, 80% of the regular functionality, and I think we've already reached a good state, right? But yeah, if you have not this kind of ABAP exits inside of a query, you can easily replace it inside of DataSphere via semantic onboarding or this derived data product.
That's also on the last page, last slide, you've shown the link to the webinar series, right? That's the webinar series that you're doing with our colleague Sandy to highlight the features, BW-like features in DataSphere. There was one question about data products. They are replicated, right, into BW. It's not a virtual thing. It's a replication, correct?
Exactly. So all the things are completely being replicated into the customer managed object store, and we make it available as a delta table at the end. Yeah.
I think the next one you covered already, composite provider, data process. How is the data managed when transferring data from the composite provider to DataSphere? Is it an ODP process or something similar?
Yeah, so data management, of course, depends or always on the regular info provider, right? So if delta is supported or not, and especially for an advanced data store object, we clearly can offer delta, right? But in a composite provider, there is no delta handling, right? So there is no request where we can get the delta. So especially from a composite provider, you can only get, let's say, the full blown and not via delta capabilities.
read through some of them. That's probably just an important clarification here. Once the customer fully moves to the object store, will all the historical data be available with semantics after the sunset of BW? And yes, absolutely. That's the whole intent, right? The whole intent is to move away from BW, enable a path forward to carry the value that customers have in their data and in their data logic, if you want to call it that. And be able to completely disconnect, move away from BW as a legacy architecture and then move into what we call the business data fabric, right? Where you have a lot more options and capabilities behind that. Absolutely. Yeah, correct. Let me see, there's a couple of more. Maybe that's something I can take. So is BW on HANA hosted in HANA Enterprise Cloud considered BW private cloud? Yes, it's considered BW private cloud. So you mentioned that the existing private cloud customers in HANA Enterprise Cloud, in the packaged cloud, in the private tailored option, they have the connectivity and then create data products with BDC. They can leverage the data catalog that you mentioned, right? That works as well. Data catalog function for those that are outside of BDC. What they're missing is this whole concept of fungible capacity units, right? So to reduce the footprint of the BW deployment over time is nowhere near as easy as with BW and BW4 in Business Data Cloud. Okay, let's take the last one here. Missing a piece. BW for HANA can do model transfer to import the query. BW 7.5 cannot. So the queries can be imported via data products or they need to be rewritten. I think that's something that has to be clear. Queries can under certain circumstances, right?
Right. So at the end, especially this onboarding option, so the model transfer is then being also offered for 750 customers with this derived data products, right? So that's the same functionality which is offered for BW for HANA.
Yeah. Good. The last question might be interesting. We can take here. It's what would you recommend to customers using ADP and Open Hub destinations? So it's the Open Hub functionality was used to export data, to mass export data. The technical capability is still there. But I'm not sure that with the move from data warehousing, centralized data warehousing to the business data fabric in Business Data Cloud, this concept really makes sense anymore, right? So you are not doing yourself a favor. I would say if you have existing processes and they work for you, that's fine. But I think forward-looking and future-looking processes probably shouldn't make use of Open Hub and rather do this paradigm shift that Dominik outlined early on and say that we need to shift the way we do things and embrace the data fabric concept a little bit more over time and then in the longer run entirely. BDC available on all three main hyperscalers. Yes, we're starting with AWS and we're adding Google and then Azure and bring it up to the same level as, for example, DataSphere or SSE right now or HANA Cloud. Keep trickling in. Thanks for the great webinar. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining, for spending time with us. Much appreciated. If our existing ECC system will take some years to migrate to S4, can we migrate BW on HANA already to Business Data Cloud and continue to get data loaded from ECC on-premise to keep our reporting ongoing? Absolutely. Yes, most certainly. For the connectivity between ECC and BW, it doesn't make a difference whether one or the other is on-prem or in the private cloud. The connectivity will be the same. Dominik, I think we have more or less. There were a couple of sort of more esoteric questions, but I think we covered the really big ones on this there. And in the interest of not making this YouTube webinar too long, I would say thank you very much for joining me in this one. And thanks to everybody out who has joined us on this call, and maybe see you on one of the next ones.
Thanks for
so
joining.
much. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.